gets by him to take the lead. Of course, eventually would run the race, and then Keselowski starts getting passed by a bunch of cars. Now Keselowski now is along the wall, and then behind Keselowski comes the 18 car. So you have the 18 car behind the 2, but next to the 18 car was Logano's 22 car. So if you can picture Keselowski, Kyle Busch behind him, and next to Kyle Busch was Joey Logano. And also, if you now what happens is they both drop down at the same time to get past the number 2 car. So 22 next to 18, they both come down, they get past the 2, and now the 18 and the 22 are next to each other. Okay, the 2 cars long gone, and then you see the 18. It looks like it kind of went up a little bit and came down, and the 22 was just sitting there and got the contact. Now, the 22 might have been a little loose, and it was a crazy pass, so if you know anything, the air and everything has a role in keeping the control of the car, and it was a crazy pass. It was on the last lap. The white flag was in the air, so, they're boogieing to get to the finish line, and that's where the contact was made. So, technically, if the number 2 car didn't slow down, this could have all been avoided. But now I'm not saying it was intentional that the 18 car hit the 22, but I think maybe the 22 was in the wrong place at the wrong time. So there it is, ladies and gentlemen. The gist of it. So Logano called Busch on Tuesday, and Logano says that we've spoken. He says, obviously, we didn't speak much at the track. He says that, so I got a chance to call him up earlier today, meaning Tuesday, to be able to talk to him a little bit and at least tell my side of the story. He continues saying that we're going to have 2 sides to the story like there is at all the time. But really, the bottom line here is we're 2 passionate race car drivers. We're 2 of the best in the sport that are going to go for wins that are aggressive, and we collided. And then he says that's the part that's tough because it's going to happen. You want to get through it as quick as you can and talk it out. But bottom line is it wasn't intentional. We're going to have to work through it somehow. We've been racing against each other for 9 years, and we've never had a problem. We've been teammates. And that, Logano used to race for JGR. He says, we've been teammates, and we've known each other really well. And then he says, this one kind of got me. He says, I consider him a friend of mine. So there you go. That's that. And then he adds that, 40 drivers out there with the same goal to win. And he says, quote, eventually tempers are going to fly. And now after all that, folks want to know, well, what are the penalties? Well, it turns out no penalties have been issued to either drivers. This announcement was made on Wednesday. All right, here it goes. NASCAR Executive Vice President of NASCAR Vice President and Chief Racing Development Officer Steve O'Donnell says, quote, after a full review of multiple videos and discussions with both competitors and their respective race teams, we felt Sunday's post-race incident does not warrant any further action. NASCAR was built on the racing that took place on the final lap by 2 drivers battling for positions. The emotions of our athletes run high, and Kyle Busch and Joey Logano are 2 of the most passionate and competitive drivers in the sport. Both competitors are very clear on our expectations going forward, and we will be meeting them in person prior to practice on Friday in Phoenix. Now, I would say the keywords here would be that both competitors are very clear on our expectations going forward. So, I'm not going to say it and do nothing. That could have been a warning. So, there you go. And that's how it all unfolded. Whew. All right. Now, after saying all that, there were penalties issued this week for the 78 and the 13 team. The 78 team, 13 team, both penalized for not having lug nuts properly secured. Crew chiefs from both teams have been fined $10,000. Source, BeyondTheFlag.com. 78 crew chief Cole Pern, driver Truex Jr., and then 13 crew chief Robert Booty Barker, driver Ty Dillon. Source, NBC Sports. And the rule states, and this has been revised for 2017, but now this gets a little confusing, but not really. If a team has 17 or fewer lug nuts properly installed, are secured. This is an L1 penalty, and the penalty is a 3-race suspension and a $65,000 fine for the crew chief. That's what happened to AJ Allmendinger last week, the week before, actually, at Atlanta, when he was in 11th place. And they got Bob, and his crew chief got suspended for 3 races. Also fined $65,000, and they were docked 35 points because AJ Allmendinger was in 11th place in the standings and dropped down to 34th. Also, okay, now for 18 secured lug nuts, a team is fined 20. And I should tell you this to make it a little more less confusing. So if you have 3 or more lug nuts on that car that are loose, and that is the $65,000 and 3-race suspension for the crew chief. If there's only 2 that are unsecured, that's a $20,000 fine and also a 1-race suspension. And if there's only 1 unsecured lug nut, then it's $10,000 and no suspension. So if you only got 17 that are secured, 3 aren't. So that's $65,000. If you got 18 secured, 2 aren't. That's $20,000, and so forth and so on. And of course, 20 lug nuts all together, and that is how that goes. No penalties for the Xfinity Series. So and that is the penalty update for this week. All right, ladies and gentlemen, rocking and rolling. All right, so power rankings. This is for the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series heading into Phoenix. All right, so from number 1 through 5, and of course, power rankings is like who's the best driver at the moment, okay, and so forth. Also, I also want to say who thought I was going to win this week. I got my pick for this week. I'm going with Kevin Harvick. I just have a feeling that Kevin Harvick's going to win this week. And I'm going to have to stick to it, okay? So I'm telling you, number 4 is going to win this week at Phoenix. So here it is, the power rankings, 1 through 20, starting from 1 through 5. It's Bart Keselowski, Kyle Larson, Truex Jr., Chase Elliott, and Joey Logano at number 5. 6 through 10 in order: Kevin Harvick, Kurt Busch, Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, and number 10, it's Kasey Kahne. Then from 11 through 15, it's going to be Jimmy Johnson, Matt Kenseth, Kyle Busch, Jay McMurray, and Clint Bowyer. 16 through 20 in order: Trevor Bayne, Dale Jr., Eric Jones, Austin Dillon, and in number 20, it is Daniel Suarez. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time. Attention racing fans, it's now time for the official motorsportsradio.net racing schedule. All right, NASCAR is wrapping up its West Coast swing as Xfinity Series and the Monster Energy Series heading to Phoenix International Raceway, 7602 South Avondale Boulevard, Avondale, Arizona. Capacity 51,000 and was opened in 1964. 1 mile of asphalt with the funky dogleg oval bankings at turns 1 and 2 between 10 and 11 degrees. Turn number 3, it is 8 degrees. Turn 4 between 8 and 9 degrees. Front stretch, it is 3. Back stretch is between 8 and 10. And the dog leg between 10 and 11. The dog leg between turn 2 and the start of the back stretch. So technically, if you look at it, it's really kind of like a third straightaway out there. And really I think we're going to see some fun racing on Sunday. Lap record held by Helio Castroneves. Penske Racing 2016 IndyCar Series. You'll find that a lot of lap records are set by IndyCar drivers, by the way. It's just so, they just drive faster cars. But the NHRA is in action as well this weekend, March 16th through 19th. So let us break down this weekend's racing card. Now, starting with the NASCAR Xfinity Series on Saturday afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern on Fox and on MRN, and that's going to be the DC Solar 200 with 200 advertised laps. Stages 1 and 2 will be 45 laps each. Stage 3 will be 110 laps. Also, the first Dash for Cash race, and we'll speak about that briefly before we head out. And then Sunday afternoon, we have Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series racing Sunday at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, also on Fox and on PRN. That's going to be the Camping World 500 with 312 advertised laps. Stages 1 and 2 will be 75 laps each, and Stage 3 will be 162. NHRA this weekend with the Gator Nationals from Gainesville, Florida. NHRA's Mellow Yellow Series. That's always fun. Here is this weekend's TV schedule. Qualifying on Friday, 12 midnight on FS1, and on Saturday at 11 p.m. also on FS1. I think they're also going to replay it also. And then the finals will be on Sunday at 1 Eastern, and that also is on FS1. IndyCar returns on April 9th for the Grand Prix of Long Beach, and Formula One season opener, the Australian Grand Prix. Formula One starts its season on March 26th. And everyone's talking about Dale Jr. giving Mark Zuckerberg a ride in his car in Charlotte. That was another news story this week. All right, so once again, the Dash for Cash, right, that they do with the Xfinity Series, okay, it's the return of the Dash for Cash with this Saturday's upcoming Xfinity Series race. 2017 is the 9th year of the Dash for Cash. So here it is. How it works now, right? Now you got the stages, but here's the original. 2 heat races. The top 2 finishes, Xfinity drivers, the top 2 finishes from these 2 heat races then compete in a final stage, and out of those 4 drivers, the best finisher wins a $100,000 bonus. In the event that same driver wins all 4 Dash for Cash races, that driver will receive an extra $600,000 bonus. So in essence, winning a total of $1 million. So you got 4 races right there. So you get $100,000 for each win. So if you win all 4, that's going to get you $400,000 plus the extra $600,000 bonus, and that gets you $1 million. Now the Dash for Cash races this year will be at these following tracks: Phoenix this upcoming weekend, Bristol, Richmond, and Dover. Phoenix replaces Indianapolis, which was a Dash for Cash track. In this case, though, we got the new format. So the 2 heat races are actually going to be stages 1 and 2. And, of course, the last stage will be stage 3. So that's how they're setting up this year. Eligibility requirements: Cup Series drivers with 5 or more years, Cup Series experience, and who are not declaring points in the Xfinity Series are not eligible. Some Cup drivers that are eligible and will be racing on Saturday: Austin Dillon, who will be racing for Richard Childress Racing. Also, Ty Dillon, he'll be racing for Gamain Racing. Also, Eric Jones from Furniture Row Racing, driving the 77 car in the Cup Series. He'll be racing on Saturday for JGR. Also, Daniel Suarez will be racing for JGR. I'm guessing Eric Jones is going to be in the 20 car, but I don't know because they've had Daniel Suarez in the 20 car, so that's going to be interesting here. And Ryan Blaney from Woods Brothers Racing, of course, in the Cup Series, drives the 21 car. He will be driving the 22 car for Team Penske on Saturday. And note that these drivers have less than 5 years Cup Series experience. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a wrap for today. We keep the shows short and sweet so you can listen to a whole bunch at a time, binge listen or whatever. So, and that's how we do it. Monday we'll be back starting at 7:25 for race recaps. And that's going to be at motorsportsradio.net and at Spreaker.com, #motorsports. You can also use #sports as well, but just type in motorsports radio and you'll be able to find it. And there you go. And we also got some contact info on our website as well. So thank you for tuning in from the Skybox Podcast Center. This is Manny A. Happy St. Patty's Day to everybody out there. This is the home of Motorsports Talk. This is motorsportsradio.net.